Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be reading 3 thrillers that have all been published within the last 6 months. I know technically a lot of these are considered backlist now because they were published in 2023, but I think before a book turns a year old, it's still considered a new book. So that's what we're doing in this video. Quickly, I'll just run through what you're gonna see. The first book I'm gonna read in this video is The Intern by Michelle Campbell. This book is following a law student and a judge. We get different perspectives throughout the book from each of them on what's going on. We have that kind of legal backdrop, fun setting, and maybe some potential corruption. Our intern Maddie is just trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, and our judge has kind of a closet of secrets that Maddie is going to get into. Then I'm going to be reading The Fury by Alex Michaelides. This book came out only 2 weeks ago, so it's brand new. We are following a cast of characters on a Greek island over Easter weekend, and there is a murder. We don't know who got murdered, we don't know how it happened yet, and our narrator is a character himself in the story, so there's kind of a really interesting dynamic going there as he's reflecting back on the events that happened over this weekend and how this murder came to be in the first place. And then the last book I'm going to be reading in this video is Everyone Here is Lying by Sherry Lapina. This is the oldest book I'm reading in this video. I think it came out in August of last year, maybe? This book is kind of classic Sherry Lapina style, suburban drama. A child goes missing, maybe she's murdered, maybe she's been kidnapped, we're not sure. So lots of different perspectives in that story, and let's go ahead and kick it off with The Intern. I decided to start with The Intern, and I just reached the end of part 1. I'm on part 2 now. So I figured it was a good time to stop and update you on my feelings, my vibe so far. Here's the deal with this book. It's reading kind of like a debut. The plot itself, I'm so interested in. Like, I feel like I haven't really read a ton of thrillers with this plot, but the writing itself feels very like elementary to me. Like, I feel like this is like a young adult writing, but discussing like an adult storyline, if that makes sense. There's lots of like simple sentences. The sentence structure itself, I mean, it's simple sentence, you know, no commas, no ands, no compound sentences in this entire book. The chapters are super short, which I'm loving. The first perspective we read from is our girly queen Madison. Okay, she's the law student. I already pitched this to you in the intro, but I'll quickly remind you what this is about. We're following this law student named Madison and this lawyer named Catherine. Madison's brother is in some trouble. He's potentially guilty of this drug charge, but he's saying that he's like being set up for it, and that like everyone involved, including the judge presiding over his case, is dirty. And then Madison, our girly pop, is in law school. She's going to become a lawyer, and her professor has offered her an internship, and she's like, hell yeah, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna be this judge girly's intern. And then the judge girly that she's interning for turns out to be the judge girly that's presiding over her brother's case. Like I said, the plot so far is super, super interesting. I'm not really sure what's gonna end up being a spoiler, so I'm gonna refrain from like saying anything else about the plot. But the last like 20 pages of part 1, we really get moving along. There's some real strange things happening. Catherine is acting weird. Madison's trying to figure out what's going on. She has no reason to believe that this judge is a dirty judge until these kind of strange things start to happen, and then she's like, well, maybe, but I don't believe it. I don't think it's true. I don't think she's a dirty judge. I don't think the cop is a dirty cop. Like, I don't think that that's true, but like, it's also kind of sus. And that's basically where I'm at so far. So I'm hoping that maybe Catherine's perspective and her voice will be different than Madison's voice, because while I'm very interested in the story that Madison is telling, I find her to read like she's like 15, and it's annoying the heck out of me. Hi, kitty. On another note, I'm not reading this book in this video. I'm just reading it for myself, but it kind of fits in to the thriller-esque genre. I am reading this book about poisons, which I suddenly can't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's something along the lines of about poisons. It's nonfiction, and it's just reviewing like 7 cases, I think, about different poisons that were used and how law enforcement dealt with them, and like how people learned to recognize them. And I'm just having like, it's so interesting. I'm having such a good time reading it. I feel like I'm learning a lot right now. So if you're interested in that, I think this book is extremely well written, and I'm just really having a good time. So
check that out if you're interested. I will pop in when I finish that. I'm not going to give you any actual updates on it, but I just thought that it deserved its chance in the spotlight because I'm not reading it for a dedicated video, and it fits here, so I'm recommending it to you here because it's really good.
Hello. You're a good girl. You're such a cute baby.
She looks mad right now. She's not, I promise. She's purring.
Look at her. She's so cute.
So I was looking at my schedule and I realized that this video is scheduled to go up the week of Valentine's Day. Should I have possibly thought that through more and potentially read romance to be festive and fun? Yes. Did I do that though? No, I did not. So instead I behold to you Puppy, who is my favorite stuffed animal. Clearly she is covered in hearts and she's very cute. She's from Build-A-Bear Workshop and I love her quite a lot. This is how we're celebrating Valentine's Day. I guess that's fitting for me because, you know, I'm not a romance girly, and I am going to make an attempt, one single additional attempt to be a romance girly in a future video at some point, but I just cannot embark on that journey right now. Let's talk about this. I took the dust jacket off, but I have made it to part 3. We're back to Madison's perspective. Kathy's perspective, that's the judge, Kathy. She has a way more interesting, way more well-written perspective, and it's in third person, but like Kathy's perspective is only following Kathy, but it's still telling us her inner thoughts and her inner monologues, etc. Same with Madison. Both are third person, but Kathy just has so much better writing and point of view, and Madison's perspective is so long. I just flipped through to see how far away part 4 is, and it's over 100 pages. So I guess my question is, why are we making the better written and better edited perspectives shorter? Why are we doing that? Because when I'm reading from Kathy's POV, it sounds like I'm reading an adult book, and I'm just not sure I can throw myself back into Madison's prose. She's also just annoying. All of Kathy's perspective is just major spoilers, so I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm actually really liking her as a character, although I don't think that I'm supposed to. Maybe we are. Like, I'm just not really sure how I'm supposed to feel about her right now, but I feel sympathy for her, and like, I think she's actually kind of a cool girl. So that's kind of where I'm at. And now that I've read from Kathy, I realize how much I dislike Madison as a character. Like, she's very intelligent school-wise, but she's kind of this dumb, bumbling intern, right? And I just find it annoying. I'm like, girl, stop being stupid. Get it together. Maybe she will. I haven't read part 3 yet, so we're not sure.
You're so pretty. You're so pretty. You're so pretty. Oh, silly girl.
Good morning, friends. I finished the intern last night right after I chopped off my hair. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Objectively, this is a 3, but I'm giving it a 3.5 because I really enjoyed the detail and attention that was paid to the cat in this book as a character. I really liked her. She's getting that extra 0.5 stars from me just because I thought that was a nice detail, but objectively this is a 3. Let me tell you what I liked about it. I loved the relationship between Maddie and Kathy, the judge and the intern. They had this really like morally gray dynamic going on. I just thought that dynamic was really well done, and I appreciate it for what it was. Like, I wish that we could see more of these relationships between women in books. Not that this was a good relationship, but I just thought that it had so many intricacies that I really appreciated that. I appreciate the legal thriller setting. I always love a legal thriller. There was no big like reveals in this book. It was more just like what's gonna happen at the end, because we figure out what's going on and who's involved probably about the halfway point of the book, and for the rest of the book we're just like what's gonna happen. But I actually think that device was well used in here, although I do traditionally prefer thrillers that have multiple twists. This wasn't really that, and I'm okay with that. Like, I've made my peace with that. Let's talk about what I didn't like about this book. I did not like Madison's writing. I don't know why this whole book just felt like it was written in YA, and I've talked about that in multiple clips now. Kathy's perspectives were less YA, but again, it was written in third person, so should we not have had the same kind of writing style throughout the whole book? Question mark? Because wouldn't that wouldn't that make sense? I don't know. So I didn't really love that. I also just felt like some of the stuff in here was sort of dumbed down for my benefit, which is fine. Like, I don't know anything about being a lawyer, so that's okay. But it was like to the point where it was noticeably dumbed down, not just dumbed down so that I could understand what was going on. And I wish that we could have seen a little bit more like legalese used in here and law terms, because I feel like that would have made it feel a little less YA than it did. So that's my biggest critique. I also just felt like if we're gonna have two perspectives, right, or if we're gonna follow two characters, we need to have about equal screen time, book time, page time spent with each one. And Kathy's perspective chapters were so much shorter than Madison's, and that really was not a vibe for me. I think that this book needed to have the different women followed in different sections for us to fully understand the ins and outs of their relationship and how they were feeling about each other. But I wish that we could have had the tone that was used in the Kathy parts, like part 2 and part 4, throughout the whole book. I feel like that could have really helped us get through it a little bit quicker. I am now going to move on to The Fury by Alex Michaelides, which is a brand new release. I lost the book. It's somewhere in my house. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna start reading that today, and I'll update you when I have something fun to say about that. Hi, it's still Tuesday, but it's later on Tuesday now than it was last time we talked. I found the book. I read 50 pages of it. I don't love this right now. I don't even really like this right now. I'm going to read more because I've only read 50 pages so far, and I feel like that's kind of not fair to not finish it. Let's back up and talk about the narration style really quickly, because I feel like that's where a lot of the problems are coming from. Not so much because the narration style itself is annoying, but the way that the narrator has decided to tell us this story is annoying. And the narrator himself as a character is also annoying, if that makes sense. This format is something that I don't see super often, but I feel like it's common enough that I've read things like this before. Our guy, Elliot, is one of the people that was on this island when this murder happened, but we don't know who got murdered. We just know that a murder happened, and he's telling us now that he's going to tell us the story of the murder because he was there and he was on the island, and yes. So obviously he didn't get murdered. He was not the one that got murdered. Did he do the murdering? Maybe. We don't know yet. He's kind of an unreliable narrator, and as a character himself, he's just like irritating to me. This is the style of narration where he says, I tell you this because you think you may know this story. You probably read about it at the time. It caused a real stir in the tabloids, if you remember. We found ourselves trapped there overnight, but who am I? My name is Elliot Chase, and I'm going to tell you a story unlike any you've ever heard. And then he pops in and like interjects his own storytelling, which I find annoying. Let me try to find an example of it. There are like an abundance of interjections from him, and it's fine if that happens every now and then, but he's doing it literally all the time, and I'm finding it really irritating because I'm like, why are we wasting this much page space on you being like, oh, I interjected. I'm sorry, I shouldn't interject. Well, it's too late now. I've interjected. So this is what we can gain from this. I'm going to back off now and shut up, like, and tell you the story and not interject. But then he does again, like 2 paragraphs later. Mind you, the chapters are like 4 pages long at most, which is a big plus for Alex Michaelides' books, right? They're all super fast paced, super short chapters. But the issue is nothing's happened in these first 50 pages. Nothing's going on. He's just telling us about all the characters that we're going to meet on this island and their like backstory, but I don't care. For 50 pages worth, you could have introduced all of these characters in one chapter, 4 pages, given me like 2 sentences about who they are, and we could have been at the same point that we're at now, 50 pages in. Anyway, example. She told me, though, one wintry night in London, as we drank whiskey by the fire, watching snowflakes drift past the window, she told me the whole story, and I told her about the damn, there I go again, already worming my way back into the narrative. It seems that despite my best intentions, I'm failing to keep myself out of Lana's story. Perhaps I should admit defeat. At the same time, though, when he's not doing that, I like his little commentaries. Like, I just wish that there wasn't these full, like, multiple sentence interjections. But for example, at the end of this paragraph, this is something that I like. He talking about another character that we just met, and he says, henceforth, I will endeavor to keep my opinions to myself. I will stick to the facts. And then he just gets back to the writing. Like, I like that vibe, but I just don't think that we need as much of it as we have because we've wasted so much time now. That said, The Silent Patient is one of my favorite thrillers. I know that so many people hate that. Come for me if you must. Like, leave me a comment telling me that you hated The Silent Patient and it was the worst thing that you've ever read in your entire life. Go for it. Tell me I have no taste, whatever. But I think that it's a good book. Like, I feel like that was an iconic thriller in my life, and I just really appreciated what it did. So this author and me, we get along. In this book so far, we are not getting along, but that's not to say that we won't later. I have been talking for 6 minutes about 50 pages. When I edit this down, hopefully it's more like 2 or 3, but that's besides the point. I'm gonna go read more of this. Hi, so I haven't read any more of The Fury, but I did finish my book about poisons, and it was just so good. I particularly found the section on polonium as a poison really interesting because I didn't really know anything about that. Like, I haven't even really heard of that, so it was really interesting to learn about that, and honestly, it's literally insane. It's this poison that, like, if you get even the tiniest little bit, I mean, and honestly, that's how most poisons work, but if you get just the tiniest little bit of it in your body, it, like, rots all of your tissues from the inside out at like a rapid pace. Like, that's insane. I think this is one of the best, most informative nonfictions I've ever read because this man really knows what he's talking about. He was really an expert on his topic, and I feel like widespread information on poison isn't necessarily promoted, so I had a really good time learning from this. If you're interested, you should definitely check it out because it was really good. And now I'm sitting down with my lunch, which is a chia seed pudding bowl with bananas, almonds, and chocolate spread, and I'm gonna eat that, and then maybe I'll read more of The Fury, maybe I won't, I don't know. I'm just like not really feeling very inspired to read it, so we'll just have to see. Hello, my lovely friends. It is later in the day now. I don't know why you're crooked right now. You're sitting on a flat surface, but we're just gonna roll with it. I just got home from work. I don't have any update on the book, but I did get a package today and it has tea in it. And I just wanted to give this business a shout out because they make the best tea they've ever had. And my favorite is this lavender Early Grey tea. It's just a spin on an Earl Grey and it's super duper yummy. And then I'm also trying this new flavor, which is Rose Earl Grey. I've never had this before, it's brand new. The reason that I'm so excited about this tea is because it's local, it's from Montana. Obviously I'm from Montana. So this is back in stock after being out of stock for literally like a year, and it is the best tea ever. And then I'm also gonna pull out my other favorite kind. It's in my cupboard, let me go get it. Okay, my other favorite kind is this Early Grey Dawn. Almost tastes herbal, but it's a black tea, so it's like great to wake you up and get you going in the morning. Tumblewood Teas, let me hold it close so you can look at it. Out of Big Timber, Montana. They're great. They have great customer service. Their tea is pretty affordable, like a tiny bag like this, even though it looks super tiny. This makes like 30 to 40 cups of tea. It's loose leaf. They used to be the tea supplier at the restaurant that I used to work at, which is how I got on them, like in the know about what's going on with them. So I just want to give them a shout out because they're super great and they have great tea. So if you're a tea drinker, check them out. They have great flavors. I think I'm gonna make myself some of the Rose Earl Grey. It is so gorgeous. Look at that. That's beautiful. Beautiful tea. Okay, we're gonna do a taste test. I did not angle you in a good place to tip this to show you the color of it. It's like a really light colored Earl Grey, so I'm thinking it's gonna be a light flavor. Yeah, that's like a super light Earl Grey where it's not super strong, but it still tastes like Earl Grey, but it's a little bit more floral and like really gentle. It doesn't taste super strong like rose. So I think that this is a win. I think that this was a great purchase by me. If you guys have any recommendations for like fun Earl Grey blends or anything similar, like any black tea blends, hit me up. I definitely prefer to buy from smaller businesses because I just think that they have better blends. Like, please don't recommend me a tea from Starbucks because I'm not interested. But if you have any local businesses or like small shops that make tea, hit me up because I'm interested. I am a big tea girly pop. Yeah. Good morning. I have just gotten to part 3 in here. I have about 100 pages left, so I thought I would just hop on and give you an update. Part 2 had a really distinct tonal shift from part 1, and I really, really appreciate that.
I think it adds a really interesting dimension to our narrator. He's basically telling us the same story that we get in part 1, but the second part of the story is like all of the things that we didn't get in part 1 of the book. So I'm having a really hard time explaining this, but basically part 1 is like the general overview and it was like super boring and I didn't care about it, right? But part 2 is like all the interesting like secrets in the backstory and like the events that are leading up to this kind of tense atmosphere, and it's written in a kind of completely different tone, and I think that it was just done in a really good way to contrast that like idyllic overview sense of the first part of the book. So part 1 I strongly disliked, part 2 I strongly liked, and now I'm kind of just feeling conflicted. It's just gonna kind of depend on which direction part 3 and part 4 go, but I just really appreciated that change in pace and I thought that it was really interesting, and I really like the dynamic that Elliot is giving us. Even though I'm still finding him kind of annoying, I find him less annoying in the second part than I did in the first part. Will he be more or less annoying in the third part? I don't know. Elliot himself is a playwright, and that's how he knows Lana, our famous movie star, right? And instead of doing like part 1 and part 2, it's actually act 1 and act 2, so it's almost as if you were writing a play, right? And I think that that's just a nice little detail to add in here to like add a little bit of depth to him as a character and a narrator of the story. So this is going super quick. I just read part 2, which I think is like 70 pages in like 30 minutes. So I honestly could probably finish this before I go to work today if I really feel like it. Will I really feel like it? I'm not sure. I don't really have anything to do today besides read this before I have to go to work. So I guess it kind of just depends on my mood throughout the rest of the afternoon before I have to leave. But I will see you regardless of when I finish this, Yes. Good morning, my friends. I finished this last night after I got home from work, and I'm giving it 2 stars. I know, I am super disappointed. I just feel like I'm almost like not smart enough to appreciate the liberties that this narration style took. And I just don't think that all of the complex, twisting, kind of turning narration style was worth the payoff. This definitely has kind of a super duper unhinged ending, which a lot of the time I really vibe with, and I love that in a thriller. I just felt like I am too stupid to really appreciate what this was trying to do. So overall, flop. I think this is my first 2-star of the year, which is so disappointing because, like I said, I love this author and I think he does really fun things with his thriller. This one was just not it for me. I was trying to think of things to say to you while I was doing my hair this morning, which, by the way, this is what my natural hair looks like if I actually put in the effort to like scrunch it when I get out of the shower and like diffuse dry it, which I never do. So I usually just have really straight frizzy hair. So I've been trying to do that more now that my hair is short and there's less of it that I have to deal with in the morning. But anyway, I was trying to think of things to say to you about this, and I honestly just like don't even really know how to talk about this in an intelligent way and provide like an accurate critique. Like, what I can really just say to you is that I didn't like it very much. Elliot as a character just gets more and more pretentious as the story goes, and I just felt like I don't even know how much of this story is valid, and he's like honestly just this really like messed up guy, and he's just like not okay. I will say there were like multiple plot lines that were twisty or that he started telling us, but they weren't actually true because he was like drafting the end to his play, which is how he's writing this story, right? So that was like, the end definitely got twisty. The last 2 parts were certainly full of all kinds of different things going on, and that was fun, but the narration style just like was not doing it for me. I will say though, at the very end of this, there is a nod to The Silent Patient, and I thought that that was really fun, and like what a great way to tie in another story from this author's backlist, right? I think that that was really intelligent. That was really fun. Overall though, part 2 was really the only good
part. Not every book can be a win. This vlog is planned for me to be able to take like 10 full days to complete it because I have my kiddos dance recital tonight and tomorrow, and then a bunch of makeup classes on Sunday for the work that I'm missing tonight to go to the dance recital for the other studio that I teach at. That's happening this weekend. Super busy, super full schedule over the next couple days. So I don't know how much like fun stuff we'll actually be doing in this video, probably not a ton, and I'll just see you when I have something to say about what I pick up, okay? Good morning. It is Sunday morning. Last time I talked to you, it was Friday morning, so it's been a couple days, but I decided to pick up Everyone is Lying by Sherry Lapina next. I'm about 60% of the way through the audiobook, and I've just been waiting to update you because I wanted to have something substantial to say, but I still don't really have something substantial to say, so I'm just gonna update you anyway. It's not doing anything wrong, but it's also not doing anything shocking. Like, it's just fine. It's just fine. Obviously, everyone in the neighborhood has something to hide, something to lie about, and everyone's lying to the police and like screwing up the investigation, right? But the motives behind it, for the most part, are like stupid. So I just can't really be entertained by this because the characters are just dumb. Like, they're just not smart. The dad in particular has lied like so many times about the investigation and to the police, and it's just so dumb. I'm like, dude, you just gotta come clean. Like, you just gotta tell the truth because obviously they're gonna find out. We did just get like a little twist at about 55%, and that was kind of fun, but also not something that I was like necessarily like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I had no idea that anything like this was coming. So yeah, overall, I just don't really have a ton of thoughts. It's just a classic Sherry Lapina, suburban, wealthy-ish neighborhood where crime occurs, and that's pretty much all that's going on. Like, if you like her, I think that this is consistent from her. I don't think that this is a bad book by any means. Right now it's sitting at like a 3-star for me. Like, I'm enjoying it. I'm just like, it's not doing anything special. So I'm definitely not gonna update you again until this is done. So I will see you when it's done. Hello, it's nighttime now, and I finished Everyone Here is Lying. It was fine. It was just like so fun. I'm so sorry, but I really just don't have anything to say to you about this book. It was just the most like fine thing that I ever read. Like, I had fun with the end. I thought it was a quick read. It was easy. It was fun to listen to, but like, it didn't do anything special at all. It went pretty much in the exact direction that I was expecting it to. Like, it wasn't really, you know, super crazy unique or anything. So overall, 3-star, like, solid 3-star. I liked it. I had a nice time. Would I ever read this again? No. Am I gonna remember the plot of this in 6 months? Oh no, you're falling down. No, I'm probably not gonna remember the plot of this in 6 months from now. So overall, just like super basic, like one of the most like mid thrillers I've ever read. Hi lovelies, I am so sorry to cut this video short, but I am just like not in the mood to read thrillers right now. So I don't want to read The Quiet Tenant. I think I said earlier that I was gonna read that like in the last clip, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just imagining that. I think I said I was gonna read that next, but I just like don't want to. I'm just not in the mood, and I'm not gonna force myself to read a book that I am not interested in reading right now, because something that could potentially be a 5-star, if you read it at like not the right time in your life, then it's like not a 5-star, you know what I mean? And I think I've just been cruising through a lot of thrillers. I've also been reading thrillers like outside of this video this month a lot, and I don't want to read any more thrillers, so I'm not gonna risk me not enjoying The Quiet Tenant because I didn't want to read a thriller, but I forced myself to for this video. So I'm just not gonna read it, and we're gonna go ahead and end the video right here. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support of my channel as always. Comment down below if you've read any of these, if you plan to read any of these. I'm especially curious to hear other people's thoughts on The Fury by Alex Michaelides. So if you have thoughts on that, drop them in the comments because I would love to know. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video soon.